Hello, Aaron here again, and we're going to be talking to you about the last bowl games for this year of 2013. December 31st is starting off with the Advocare V100 Bowl. This is in Shreveport, Louisiana, and it's between the Arizona Wildcats and the Boston College Golden Eagles. I'm going to get right into this and talk about these Arizona Wildcats, led by some strong running. 11th in the nation, 265 yards a game. They were able to grind through a pretty good portion of their schedule out in the Pac-12. They went 7-5 this year, 4-5 in the Pac. One of the middle teams in the Pac-12 this year, and that's largely because the Pac-12 was very strong this year. Don't let that make you guys think any less of this team, all right? They started the year off strong with 3 straight wins over Northern Arizona, UNLV, and UTSA. Obvious wins for them. And then they followed that up with 2 straight losses to Washington and a close one at USC. Neither one of those were bad. Arizona showed up in both of them decently. They just couldn't pull it off. But they followed that up with a win against Utah, and win at Colorado, and a win at California. So they started off the year 6-2, looking good, hoping for a shot at big time play in this conference. And then they sort of dropped off as the year went on. Their last 4 games, they only won 1, and it was an upset. They got beat by UCLA 31-26, lost against Wazoo 24-17. Mind you, all these were close. And then, and kind of the shocker of the year, just about one of the most amazing surprises, they shut Oregon down. They were 5th in the nation at the time. They'd just been busy talking crap, saying they were going to a Rose Bowl, and they were disappointed in it. And they got beat 42-16. Arizona brought the hammer on these boys. They looked great, and they were able to just dominate them and win that game, and that really kind of bumped up their bowl hopes, and really, I mean, that made them bowl eligible, I believe. Or no, they were already bowl eligible. That one kind of cemented them into a bowl game, and it really kind of blew Oregon's season up, and they followed that up, unfortunately, with a drubbing by Arizona State. They got beat 58-21 in their finale, but still, that win against Oregon was a big one for the program. Kind of has everybody seeing what these guys can do when they're on it. Really, what you saw in that game, if you watched, was they just need their running to really show up. Their runner, Kareem Carey, 1,716 yards, 17 touchdowns, one of the best running backs in college football, 5.3 yards per carry. He's great. Then their quarterback, Dinker, is a dual threat. He had 2,241 yards passing and 14 touchdowns, 186.8 average a game, which is only 98th in the nation passing, but the guy also ran for 898 yards and another 12 touchdowns on the year. So those two combined had 29 rushing touchdowns. These guys on the ground could put up a lot of points and a lot of yards. They only score 32 points a game, 41st in the nation, but with all that running, they eat up a lot of the clock, and it kind of keeps the games lower scoring at times for them. And their defense only gave up 24 a game, which is 45th in the nation. These guys, they know how to play. They showed up big in games, and really their only bad losses on the year were a 31-13 loss at 16th ranked Washington and that finale at Arizona State. So these guys, they really were pretty good this year. They're just a tick off, and they're hoping to build as Rich Rodriguez continues on to this bowl game with them. Now, Boston College, led by a late Heisman candidate whose last game kind of hurt him, but Andre Williams, this guy was a monster. 2,102 rushing yards, 17 touchdowns, 6.4 yards per carry. It's, I think, 8th most all time in a season for running backs. He was just unbelievable, and he kind of carried these Eagles to a good record. They had some losses. The only opponent they had in common with Arizona was USC, and they got beat 35-7 by them, so it didn't look good. But other than that, I mean, they didn't have any bad losses. They went 7-5 just like Arizona. They went 4-4 in ACC play. They started the year off with 2 straight wins over Villanova and Wake Forest, but then followed that up with the loss to USC and the 48-34, not a bad loss, but a loss against Florida State, national title contender. They beat Army 48-27, but then followed that up with a 24-14 loss to Clemson and a 34-10 loss to North Carolina. Then their bigger wins in the year came late in the year. They beat Virginia Tech 34-27, beat New Mexico State, beat NC State, and then they were also able to beat Maryland 29-26. But they ended the year, Williams went down early, only had like 28 rushing yards because of it, and they actually got beat 34-31 by Syracuse. But still, this is a Boston College team that's 20th in the nation running, 218 yards a game. It's almost all Williams. The dude is a monster. He's going to be back in fine for this bowl game, so it should be good. They're really going to depend on him to run the ball a lot because they're only 113th in the nation passing with 150 yards a game. They scored 28 points a game, 71st in the nation, and gave up 27, 73rd. So these guys, their games are pretty close. And really, they're just going to be looking on giving Williams the ball and letting him carry them into the promised land by holding on to it and controlling the clock in this, keeping their defense off the field and giving them rest. It's going to be interesting. Boston College hasn't won a bowl game in a while. It's been like since 2007 against Michigan State. I mean, they really want this. They really want this. Andre Williams is going to try to carry him to it. But Arizona is a really tough team, and their defense isn't bad. And Boston College just gave up over 200 yards on the ground to Syracuse, who wasn't a huge running team in their last game of the year. So I feel like their running defense is a little vulnerable. I think Arizona's going to be able to exploit that. Arizona averages almost 100 more yards a game. I think that's going to come up to play. Their third down percentage is 13% higher at 46% compared to 33% for Boston College. I think that's going to come into play here. They put up a few more points. They're about the same in yards per attempt for both pass and or for run, and they give up they're actually a yard less passing per attempt than Boston College is, but they're 7.5-point favorites on the spread. Arizona is, and I think there's a good reason for that. I think they're a little better team right now. I think Boston College is going to play big, and they're going to show up. I think Boston College won't let Arizona cover that spread, but overall, I think Arizona's still going to get the bowl win. I think it's going to come down to probably the fourth quarter. The third quarter will be huge. I think Boston College might even have the lead at halftime, but I think Arizona's going to have it by the end of the third quarter and hold on in the fourth. And I think the final score in this game is going to be something along the range of, maybe even something like 31-30 Arizona, if not a little bit bigger win for the Wildcats. But I do have the Arizona Wildcats winning this game and taking home in a second straight bowl win. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Like this video, subscribe if you'd like. If you think I'm doing good, let me know. If you think I suck, let me know. It's fine. I'm up for criticism. And either way, you guys have a great time and enjoy this game. Later.